We are live, baby. Guys, welcome to Wolf Web 3. Welcome to the podcast. We got Andy in the house today with us, I'm not a Bitcoin miner, but Bitcoin miner, YouTuber, Spaces Extraordinaire, and just all around great dude. You should be following him. You should be subscribed to his newsletter, or not his newsletter, his YouTube channel. He probably has a newsletter, but subscribe to all the things. He's a beast. If you're at all in the Bitcoin mining world or anything on the outskirts, even definitely this is a podcast you're going to want to listen to. But Andy, welcome to the show, man.
Hello, Cade. Good to see you. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about whatever things you want to talk about, crypto and beyond.
Let's get it. Well, I think it'd be helpful just to contextualize the conversation to bring up your origin story, getting into the crypto world. What was initially the spark of interest for you? How long ago it was? Maybe start with what you're doing precisely right now, and then we'll go back to your origin story.
Yes, precisely at this moment, I'm speaking to you. I'm not doing something crypto at the moment. Well, actually, that's not true. I have all my passive things going on, so I'm earning crypto 24/7. Right now, I'm focused on YouTube, primarily sharing my crypto journey on the YouTubes and on X. I'm just now getting around to being able to call it X. I normally just real hard up on the Twitter thing. Sharing that journey online with everybody as I go through it. I've got a pretty big focus on crypto passive income. That is like 30 different sources for me. So, I go a bunch of different directions. But I would say broadly, my focus in the world of crypto passive income is mining, it's crypto nodes, a little bit of staking kind of stuff, and then DePIN is the other big category, which that is a huge, broad spectrum category itself. But all those things are things I talk about on my YouTube channel. I share kind of as I get into things, as I buy into new things, my progress and milestone reports as I go through this, the ups, the downs, all that good stuff, because crypto is a roller coaster. It has big ups. It has maybe bigger downs. I don't know. And that is entertaining for people, I hope. So that's where I'm at today.
Definitely. Right on. Well, yeah, like you said, guys, definitely go check out the stuff he's posting. If you're at all interested, it's very high quality stuff. I come from a content background, so I respect when I see a little bit of bokeh in the background, a little bit of separation from the subject in the background. I noticed those things because I started when I first got into the video side of things and paying attention to these things. I remember going down a rabbit hole of YouTube trying to figure out what's the best lighting. Like my situation right now is not great. I'm in between places right now. But typically I've got a whole setup. I've got the neon lights in the backgrounds. It's a lot of fun. So whenever I see someone else doing it, I notice it. I'm like, okay, they're a fellow nerd like I am. So tell me about the origin story. What got you into crypto originally? What was that first aha moment maybe, or light bulb moment?
So crypto goes all the way back to 2012, 2013. I encountered Bitcoin for the first time there because I'm a longtime computer enthusiast. Another computer enthusiast friend of mine on a computer forum telling me how he's making, $8 or $30 or something like that a week, mining these digital coin things on his computer with his graphics card and selling them. And I did not understand it. It sounded like a scam. It sounded like, you can't make fake money out of thin air. Whoops. But fast forward to 2014, right after Bitcoin hit its all-time high of $1,000, Litecoin was also emerging onto the scene and blowing up. I got attracted to the passive income element of it all, and tried to build myself a Litecoin mining rig with graphics cards and a milk crate, which was the style we did at that point, running Linux, and did that. Couldn't really keep it stable, had all kinds of problems, was working like 12 to 14 hours a day at a tech startup at the time. And so I gave up on that eventually. And then I bought a little bit of Bitcoin that year, and I dabbled around, but I kind of forgot all about it through all 2015, most of 2016, then right at the beginning of 2017, found my way back into the world of crypto. I kept encountering it, so I said, maybe there's something here. I started investigating it. Then the 2017, 2018 bull run hit. I made a lot of money. I lost probably even more money. Didn't crack that code. But instead of giving up like I had done in the past, I just stuck with it all through the 2018, 2019, 2020 bear market. Made lots of good decisions, even though at the time, I put money in, it'd keep going down. It didn't feel like a
Yeah.
great decision sometimes. But then 2021 and 2022 roll around, and I made lots of money, and my portfolio went way up into the sky and became a crypto millionaire and all that good stuff. Learned lots of valuable lessons, executed on that bull run far better than the previous one, and then it's rinse repeat. The past couple years, the second half of 2022, 2023, now 2024, just head down, building, stacking, doing everything I can to prepare for what I hope is the bull run next year, to have even bigger gains, even bigger successes, and to keep even more of it in my own pockets this time around.
Yeah, yeah, dude, that's definitely a top concern of mine. Now, this time, this cycle rolled around for me. I got in like the 20. I remember it was probably 2017 when I first heard about Bitcoin through just a weird looking character in my public speaking class, and it just was. I wish I paid a little bit more attention and a little bit less attention to maybe his outfit and his demeanor, but he was definitely sus. So I was a late bloomer. I found out what stocks were in college. Didn't even know. I couldn't have explained it to you if I tried until I was like 19 or 20. And then, yeah, I mean, in the last cycle, 2021, made a lot of money. I thought I was just rolling. And then the months started to slow down a little bit. And then at the end of the year, I calculated everything and I was like, wow, I broke even. I didn't make a single cent. I quite literally broke even in a whole year of trading and all these getting in and out of projects, sending it back to my bank account, back out of my bank account. All that work just to participate is kind of how I looked at it. It was like my tuition paid, but then I got my money back and I was like, okay, this time I'm going to take profits. So anyways.
First year of crypto trading, if you break even, I feel like that is a massive win. Most people just lose their shirts. Yeah.
I had a couple good plays that really helped me out. Like I had 2 or 3 trades that I bought in like my first 5 trades kind of thing that I bought and just like left in the account. And like 9 months later, for like no reason, they just pumped out of nowhere. And like every single one went to like, I think the floor went to like 0.4 ETH or something like that. And I had 3 of them. One of them was like a super rare. Sold one of them for like $6,000, I remember. And so that was definitely it. I wasn't like out here out trading people just by guessing. But anyways, we got William in the house. Let's go talking to the Bitcoin mining legend, Andy. Absolutely, man. We're here to talk about all the things. By the way, if you guys have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and we'll definitely get to them. We have Tom in the house as well, fellow YouTuber in the scene. Great guy. So anyways, yeah. Shout out from all the YouTubers to all the YouTubers as well. I'm curious here. You mentioned that you lost some money, but curious on any big setbacks that you maybe were expecting in the last year or two. Did 2024 pretty much go as planned? Was there any big hiccups or places where there was a pivotal thing happening?
Setbacks within 2024. I mean, nothing major. I think that most of my bigger setbacks were in the last cycle. Mm-hmm. Just some plays that just did not work out in the way I expected to a larger degree. The whole Terra Luna fiasco. I had I'd been taking some profits into Terra money. I had like $100,000 in Terra. I did pull about half out to buy some of my first Bitcoin mining rigs. So that money, even though I probably overpaid for those Bitcoin mining rigs, at least that money was not lost forever. The other $50K, goodbye, gone forever. Wow. I think it turned into like $2,000 or something by the time I actually said goodbye to it.
Oh no!
Like strong nodes, that was $20,000, goodbye. Yield nodes was like $60,000, goodbye. I mean, I have countless. It's probably multiple 6 figures. I've said goodbye to over the years. That's like you said a minute ago, like tuition. That is the price I've paid. I've made far more than I've lost. And I treat all this stuff like I'm a poor man's venture capitalist. I expect 90% of things I get into to just flop or fail or whatever. As long as 10 to 20%, as long as I find a couple of unicorns in there, it's all good. And so far that strategy has worked out. But 2024 has been largely like rinse, repeat. Again, head down, mining, earning, stacking, taking income from that kind of wheel, that passive income loop that I've built, rolling that into more investments, all that good stuff, and waiting for the bull run to come around.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely been a pretty crazy year for me. No, I'm trying to think. I don't think there's been any big pivotal setbacks for me. Just this year has just been like big building for me on a personal level, professional level, getting better at just business and in general, fitting in the team. Saying it's been very different, but yeah, it's pretty cool also to watch the people through the last bear market. A lot of those people are gone. Some have come back. Actually, more people than I thought. I guess from the last cycle are back. I lost pretty much 95 to 99% of my TikTok friends who started off strong with me back in 2021. They're almost all gone. I could name on my hand how many are left, and yeah, it's probably close to two or three. But a lot of them end up leaving. So for you, when bear markets hit, Bitcoin mining maybe is not as profitable, do you just stay in the game because you're like, hey, this is the world this is the industry I decide to reside in and put a lot of my efforts in recreationally and professionally and just financially? Or have you looked at any other industries to jump into at all? Is there any other interests you have, or is it pretty much Bitcoin mining and the crypto world?
I mean, like when it comes to like the passive income end of things, it's very multifaceted. Bitcoin mining is one part of the overall strategy, but there's like 25 other parts to it. When it comes to like mining and stuff, while the price is down, uh, motorcycle. That is just part of the game. Like when it gets boring or when it seems like you're not making as much, or it's really easy time to like give up or something. Am I getting a echo there in my? Oh, maybe that was for a split second there. I heard myself repeating my own words. Anyway, when the anything is down the dumps, or it's like really boring, or the just sentiment is like whatever, it's easy to like stop. But that's when I know that's the time you need to like stick with it, stay determined, like keep going, because that's where the money is made now. You make all your money in the bull run by making smart plays in the bear market. And so hopefully a lot of people have been doing that. The good news, though, is if you haven't, it's you missed the best opportunities. However, it's not too late. I think if you get it any time between now and when the bull run actually kicks off, you stand to make a lot of money. You just might not make nearly as much as if you had been like buying up these bargain basement deals over the past year, essentially.
Yeah, man, 100%. The bear market, I know a few people who loaded up in the bear market. They had a good job. They're making consistent money, and they just allocated like 80% of their money through the whole bear market. I'm like, dude, you are loaded right now. We haven't even really kicked off yet. I agree with you. Man, crazy stuff. So walk me through a few of the various things you picked up along the way in the content creation journey. So for people who don't know, YouTube is not nearly as easy as it may come across to be when you're watching professionals like Andy put it together. Puts together a solid video, amazing edits. The script feels like it was just like rolled off the tongue, and an angel touched it. It just comes out perfectly. People are like, "Oh, so I guess you just turn on a camera, you title it, and you push it, and you're good to go." And there's a lot more that goes into it. So curious on just things you picked up along the way. The last, how long have you been doing the YouTube side of things?
I started my first YouTube channel in 2015.
Okay.
Your friend Andy is my second serious attempt at the world of YouTube. My first channel was a cinema channel. That one did
Nice.
well. It's like 165,000 subscribers.
Whoa.
The views though, like 80 something million views, which was kind of wild. Not a moneymaker, as it turns
Oh,
out,
okay.
but pivoted into the world of finance and then later crypto. Started doing your friend Andy this channel in June of 2020. So 4 years now and a little bit of change, which is wild. And
Yeah. Wow.
it's a blast. It's kind of tough in the bear market. My views chart, if you zoom out, looks just like the Bitcoin chart. Turns out that when the price of Bitcoin is down, people are less interested to watch videos about crypto. Who would have thought?
Mm,
But again, it's like all things. In previous cycles, there was people I would watch all the time, crypto YouTubers, and they were kind of my go-to people, creators that I would watch and figure out what mining plays are, what mining machines, what crypto opportunities there were.
mm,
Bear market rolls around, 80% of them stop making content. They just
yep.
throw in the towel. And the next bull run comes around and they just don't show up again. Or if they do, they're way behind because the people who just kept at it, even though the growth was slow, that like runway you're building for yourself really matters, as it turns out. So
Yeah.
I've just taken a note from what I've observed, which is don't, stop making content just because the market kind of sucks. Pivot if you have to a little bit and be more broad about what you're talking about, but continue on, kind of beating that drum, because it will pay off in spades, just like
Mhm.
investing in the bear market. Investing with content will too. But I don't know. It's a fun journey. If you're cut out for it, it can be a real like life changer. Certainly has been for me. It can also be really lucrative, as it turns
Mhm.
out. And you don't even need a big channel to make serious money with YouTube. Back when I first started my channel, I was focused on just personal finance. I pivoted to fintech, like banking reviews, credit card reviews, that type of stuff. And I crossed the $10,000 a month on YouTube barrier when I had less than 10,000 subscribers. So you can take small channels if you pick the right niche and the right strategy for content, and you can make like real money. It can be an actual full-on side hustle turn, full-time gig. I'm stoked on YouTube. YouTube is an amazing opportunity. I love it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it'll hopefully. I'm not sure if I hope or what I think, but it seems to be YouTube has been and always will be the king of content. Even if X takes over the world, there's something about like having a YouTube audience that is just alluring compared to like a TikTok audience. I think the grind or the algorithm or something, it's just more difficult to grow if you're doing full videos than if you're just doing shorts or Instagram reels. I mean, I've grown a couple accounts on TikTok and Instagram to well over 100,000 views with minimal work compared to a YouTube channel. And I'm like, okay, so the feeds are a little bit different. The algorithms are a little bit different. The style people search some of these videos is different. So yeah, YouTube is a massive, it's a big thing to get even the silver channel checkmark thing is like a huge feat. I mean, 99.9% of people aren't able to do it. So yeah, kudos to you for sticking to that. You've actually got a third channel called Your Friends Podcast, or Andy's Friends, that has just now hit a milestone, right?
Uh, yeah, Andy and Friends is my podcast. It just hit 3,000 subscribers. And then I've
Let's
got
go.
Your Finance Friend, which is now me doing the fintech banking credit card thing. Again, that one just crossed 1,000 subscribers. So, those
Let's go.
channels, I'm a pretty big deal now. 1,000 subscribers. Watch out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So walk me through that a little bit for people who don't know. What are some of the things that go on behind the scenes to even possibly run more than one YouTube channel, multiple platforms here? You're running your own rig. You're having to keep tabs with all these things going on. What kind of things help you in the background? VAs, like virtual assistants? Do you work with multiple people? Like, does family come in and help? Like, how do you get all this stuff done? Are there any things that people can take away that might be some practical tips who are trying to make the content thing work?
So I could probably do an even better job of all this, but any pain points, definitely like hiring out and getting help. So I don't
Mm,
edit my own videos anymore. I've got two editors that help me with all that. When it comes to like uh, writing scripts, which I do most of my videos, I script fully word for word, top
yep.
to bottom, just to make the edits way easier, and have less cuts and weird stuff, and actually know where I'm going to make it really focused. I do have a research helper there who will help me put together the bare bones skeleton of a script with all the stuff about the crypto project. We can talk back and forth about it and kind of bounce around that type of stuff, and then I put all my finishing touches on it. But really, if you like do this thing, you're almost more of a writer than you are a like video creator. At least
Mm,
from the way I do it, because I'm doing the YouTube videos. I'm across two channels. The podcast is more like off the cuff, but I am preparing a whole outline ahead of time. There's the
nice.
newsletter and other things, but I'm just constantly writing all of these ideas and thoughts and experiments down, and then trying to convert that into the various content online. Um, so yeah, getting that stuff off your plate that is like kind of killing you, which for me was the biggest one, was editing. Is a great place, but it's also tough because if this is something you're doing on the side and you're not making money with it yet, those things cost money. So you might just have to like, grin and bear it and just kind of get through that stuff a little bit
Yeah.
before you can afford to. Or, if you want, some of my newer channels, I've just paid the money, even though they weren't making it. It was actually in the negative on the new channels,
Mm,
just because I didn't want to deal with that stuff. It just depends on what the long term like goal is and whether or not you think you actually have the chops to do this type of stuff. But lots of people who are also really killing it with YouTube content who do faceless channels. So
Mhm.
even if you don't think like you would be great at this stuff, maybe doing "Hello, it's me" kind of stuff,
Mhm.
you could potentially still share your journey in finance and crypto or whatever your topic of choice is, and not have to actually show your face. You can just speak into a microphone and show things on screen, or get AI to be your voice or whatever. There's success across the board.
Yeah, and there are opportunities for that right now. You can just plug things in and you can get pretty much a whole video out. I mean, there's a bunch of apps out there. Hey, what's up? We got the Hobbyist Miner in the house. How's it going, bro? I guess we just did a podcast with him as well, streamed on X and YouTube. Definitely check that one out as well. We're going to pretty much, I want to pivot a little bit into the Bitcoin mining world. So I am curious for people who are beginners. We'll keep it beginner friendly here for people who are just stopping by. By the way, if you are enjoying the conversation, repost the stream on all platforms or YouTube. I'm not sure there's not a repost, which is probably the biggest thing that I think Twitter X has going for it on video is the repost and tag option. It's just so easy to connect people to a video versus YouTube. I found it a little bit more difficult. But anyways, in regards to Bitcoin mining, what are a couple things that maybe are assumptions people make that you have found maybe aren't as true, or things that you may think the average person thinks that once you get into the world of Bitcoin mining, things are just a little bit different. Maybe it's workload, maybe it's confusion around how to actually get it going. Just would like for you to kind of open up the conversation, give a little bit of color into the Bitcoin mining for people who want to do it at home.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really do very much Bitcoin mining at home, like actually at my house, because Bitcoin mining is very power intensive. It's a lot of heat, a lot of noise. You can do things to kind of fix the noise problem to a degree, but you need to have a dedicated space and a lot of considerations around it to have it set up, and that is definitely scary, and it makes things tough. And you also have to have cheap electricity. So there's a lot of like check boxes that an everyday person needs to be sure they have covered before they jump into the world of Bitcoin mining. More accessible is the way I'm doing it, which is hosting. I have all my machines with a hosting company. I'm actually wearing the hat right now. Musk Miners. A little shout out to Blake over at Musk Miners. I've been with them for my entire Bitcoin mining journey. You give them money, they buy the machines, they put them on shelves, they maintain them, they deal with all that stuff. It's in some location elsewhere. My machines are spread through like 3 different states here in the U.S. And then it's like out of sight, out of mind. You do have to pay a hosting fee, so that covers all those things they do for you. But that hosting fee is actually significantly cheaper than my home electricity rate that I would be paying. So it's a better deal for me, even though I'm paying for their services. So that makes it really accessible. But really, I think a lot of people who think they want to do this whole Bitcoin mining thing at home maybe are just really attracted to the earning part of it and less on the actual, setting it all up and running it part of it, because that does take so many considerations. Now, if you are a diehard geek, nerd, you like to tinker, you really want to support the network, you can set the space, you can deal with the airflow, you can deal with the power considerations, then go for it. Watch people like the Hobbyist Miner, who has a shed in the backyard with full airflow considerations and power and has done all these things top to bottom. I've only ever had like GPU mining rigs and stuff in my backyard, so I've done some of these things at home. I just done them on a very small scale. I think if you're really attracted to running things at home, you have higher power costs, and you don't want to deal with 90% of the considerations that come along with Bitcoin mining, you might want to look at other avenues, such as the world of DPIN. We can run plug and play devices that are really easy, use very little power, don't make any heat, still, for how much you spend on them, have a lot of earning potential, especially in the future in the bull run. So there's lots of ways to earn with quote unquote mining from home that go everywhere from as hardcore as putting the machines like Bitcoin mining machines in your house to doing plug and play devices to still doing all those things, but doing them elsewhere and having somebody else handle it for you.
That is pretty fascinating stuff right there. Curious as well, for people who are trying to get invested, they look at Bitcoin, they say, well, Bitcoin, the time for me is past, the ROI for doing all this stuff isn't worth it. Maybe they don't want to do the research to find a hosting company like you did, but then they hear about this other thing called Caspa, and they're like, is this the answer to my problem? Like, is this kind of mining worth it? For other, also we'll call them alternative mining means, have you found the ROI to be worth it? Compared to the time you're having to spend figuring it out, hooking it up, or just finding someone to do it for you? Have you found it to be high ROI enough to get into it, you think, for the average person?
Specifically with Bitcoin or other opportunities like Caspa?
Maybe we'll go opportunities like Caspa for people, because I imagine a lot of people who are joining today, I'm not sure if they go straight into Bitcoin mining or if they end up finding their way there, or if they start with a more degen style where they're farming something else. But Caspa's come up a lot. Gabriel has been hosting those spaces. They are probably our best performing spaces in terms of people listening. So I know there's a huge interest in it. Just I guess maybe top thoughts on the Caspa mining and ROI on those kind of things.
Yeah, the Caspa crew, they are a wild, engaged bunch. You
They
just talk
are.
about Caspa on any platform, and they will find you and tell you all about their love of Caspa.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean,
Okay.
Caspa is in my top 5 positions in my portfolio. I'm a huge fan.
Top
Caspa mining
five.
has it is. It's in my top
Wow.
five
Okay.
portfolio positions. Yep.
All right. All right.
And Caspa mining so far, the past 2 years, has been insanely profitable. However, the price has dropped from its all-time highs. The price has stagnated. More and more hash rate keeps coming online. So mining profitability has dropped a bit like a rock.
Mm.
So it's a tough prospect to suggest getting into it today, fresh for the first time, unless you're absolutely convinced that the price is going to $1, $2 plus per Caspa,
Mm.
and you feel encouraged that the machine you're choosing has enough runway to see you most of the way there. Because the machines that I was running that were making thousands and thousands of dollars in profit a month are now making a couple $100 in profit a month altogether. So they are still profitable, but it's not like it was. You might be better suited unless you have just the right recipe to just buy Caspa and hang on to it.
Mm.
But I think Caspa offers a great lesson, which is getting in early matters. And I still think it's early for Caspa. I still think it's early for Bitcoin. But if you want to get like 5,000% gains, which is what my Caspa gains look like, or like 10,000 plus percent, you have to be mining it before everybody knows about it. So you need to figure out what the next things are,
Mm.
and be able to have some capability of speculatively mining those things before it becomes mainstream. I started mining Caspa 3 months before it ever hit its first exchange. It had no price attached to
Wow.
it. With GPUs, or in the very beginning it was CPUs, mining thousands and thousands of Caspa a day, when now even some of those high-end machines that you pay 10, 20 grand for don't make that much Caspa in a single
Wow.
day.
Wow.
So that's the power of getting in early. I mean, my first big purchase on exchange of Caspa, that purchase is up like 5,000%.
Wow.
So there will be more opportunities like that. That's the beauty of crypto, is there's always, for every opportunity you miss, there's going to be 50 to 100 more waiting in the wings, especially the closer we get to the bull run. But I'd say that the big lesson here is doing your best to figure out which things are still early or incredibly undervalued or whatever. And again, that might be Caspa, because Caspa, again, it's 13 cents today. I seriously think it'd go to $1. It's could be a 10x or more, which that might be
Wow.
really attractive to you. Or you're like me and you're looking for the next thing that's not going to do a 10x, it's going to do a 100x or a
Mm.
1000x. But that requires a lot of time every single week, scouring the web, looking through Twitter comments, YouTube comments, message boards, jumping in communities and discords, trying to figure out what the latest hubbub is about all the new stuff being released, and then speculatively mining thing after thing after thing, and then watching thing after thing fade away, go to zero, not work out, and just trying to get one or two of those that actually are that catapult
Mm.
to success. So it is not easy. It's kind of like a second full-time job.
Mm.
But that opportunity still exists, and it will continue to exist as long as crypto's around.
Have you found anything new on that horizon that you're willing to reveal at all? Is it the proof of work that's so attractive for certain mining buzzes, I guess? Like I know you have proof of stake mining as well, and they're popular amongst crypto farmers and stuff. But I feel like there's like a community of like proof of work staker miners, and like it's like a thing over here. Have you found anything else enticing? And if not, I was going to ask about how you found out about Caspa. But if you have, I would love for you to give some color if you could.
Yeah, I mean, mineable, there's certainly a few things I have looked at and or mined, but like broadly, like opportunities of that magnitude, yeah, certainly. I mean, most of my portfolio is things I would consider like micro caps. And these
Mm.
aren't all proof of stake or proof of work, but they give you earning opportunity. Like a great example is another one that's in the top positions of my portfolio, which is Tempe. Tempe, they have nodes. You can earn Tempe with the nodes, but it's like a $4 million market cap, and something like Caspa is
Wow.
a $4 billion market
Yeah.
cap. $4 million is micro cap. So I'm looking for stuff like that that has really solid what I classify as crypto fundamentals. It's going to be different than stock fundamentals, and just going hard on that, and then finding the next one of those. So I've got a litany of those in the portfolio that. But Tempe is one I've been focused on lately, and we'll keep talking about until people finally wake up and see that it's grossly undervalued for what they're building.
And by the way, I was also going to ask for people who want to just buy Caspa, where can you buy that? Because I don't think it's available on like the go-to exchanges, if right, or am I totally off there?
They're not in any of the big boy exchanges yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
I've bought most of my Caspa when I've bought it on places like MEXC.
Okay.
And to get access to MEXC, if you're in the United States, you can get a Palau ID. Palau, the Pacific nation island of Palau, they have a digital residency program. You spend $250 for a year. You get an ID. You're not a resident, an actual resident of Palau. You're not a citizen, but you're a digital resident. And they send you a physical ID card. It looks like a driver's license. And that lets you get KYC with a handful of exchanges that you otherwise could not. MEXC, KuCoin, a bunch of other ones.
Wow. Well, I didn't know. Okay. Wow. That's very
I've got a video on it. Go to my YouTube channel, scroll down, find the Palau ID video. It's cheap, $250, and gets you access to a bunch of exchanges that you otherwise would not. And then you can
one-time
buy
fee
like
or $250 a year.
$250 a year, but once you KYC with most of these, they're not going to ask you to redo it every year. So as long as you KYC for all the exchanges you're interested in year one, it doesn't matter when it expires after that. But you can pay for multiple years if you want.
Okay. Interesting. And by the way, everyone who's listening, this is his YouTube channel, or one of his YouTube channels, 126K. Crazy. And as you can see, you try not to judge a YouTube channel by their thumbnails, but sometimes you do. And these thumbnails are sick. I'm a big sucker for these, especially this kind, like where you point at something and it's this big, like, all-time high, or like, are we about to crash? I nerd out harder for these. Do you make these thumbnails, by the way?
I do not. My video editor does.
Yeah, same. I have a guy who helps me with them. Yeah, exactly. I can't do it myself. I probably could, but I don't want to. I'd rather work with someone who this is what they love to do, and they're better than me at it. It allows me to kind of shift that off my my mental plate of things I have to do. But awesome. Okay, so we got a bit of an update there from the Caspa world. Oh, that was my question. How did you get into Caspa? How did you find out about it? Was it just another thing that you thought, hey, I'll just mine this thing, whatever. If it moons, great. If not, great. Or were you like, oh, this is gonna cook?
Caspa is one of the very first alpha plays I posted in my private membership, Sleep Money Club. I found it on Bitcoin Talk, the altcoin announcement forum. Lots of proof of work currencies will post there when they launch. 99.9% of the ones that are posted there are just garbage, but every so often you get one that has something real about it. When I found Caspa, it was really bare bones, but they did have a white paper. I read that. The technology seemed really interesting. It was different than the regular copy and paste white papers that you normally see. And it was not easy to start mining. You had to set up your own node to actually be the kind of proxy for your mining pool. And then you had to solo mine to it with the GPU, and you had to build this stuff all yourself. I believe it was all in Linux only at first. And I found that if especially this is a mineable crypto, if it's one, it's a fair launch. Two, if it has some interesting elements to it, fundamentals, technology, actual thought behind it. And then three, if it's not easy to get into, if it has a barrier to entry, it has like an extreme learning curve. That means there's some like technical hurdle you have to get over. Those factors together seem to equate to real potential. And there's been other ones before and since then that have hit that, some of those notes. So saw that, posted it in Sleep Money Club. Several of us started mining it early. no idea that it was going to turn into what it is today. I will say, I've said this, in my live streams and stuff. Full transparency, I have sold a fair amount of my, not the bulk of my bag, but I did sell a couple 100,000 Caspa when it was around like between 2 to 5 cents, and it's at
Mm,
13 cents today. Knew no idea it would go to 20 cents, which was
of
its
course.
all-time high. Glad I still have like 70% of my bag,
That's great.
but how can you know these things? So you take profits and you go, "That was great," and then you look back,
Yep.
and you're like, "Maybe I should have hung on to that." But yeah, just scouring the web, reading those forums. I find a lot of things in Twitter replies and YouTube comments, other people saying things. Look for people who have small followings and just are digging through everything, or other discords.
Now, are there any telltale signs where you're like, oh, that's crap? Versus you're like, oh wait, let me look into this. Like, let me spend a few minutes reading this white paper. Are the proof of work ones that you find super long, detailed out white papers? Are they pretty simple? Like, what does the workload look like for some of these things?
Some can be super long. Some oftentimes they don't even have a white paper yet. That
Yeah.
usually comes later. Like telltale sign that it's going to be not worth your time is when they're saying that they're going to change the world. They're going to revolutionize some existing industry. They're going to change the face of how we do power generation on the planet through mining. They just really crazy things that they say and dumb names and stuff like that. If they're more technology focused, like, hey, here's what we're doing, it's experiment. Here's the kind of new technology we're putting in this thing. We're going to try this out. That is ambitious, but it's also in a realistic, through realistic lens. So if they're trying to go, it sounds crazy and like this huge big thing, if it sounds just too good to be true, or if it's like copy pasted, or if it's just a really easy like fork. There's been a big ramp up of X11 coins, which is the algorithm that Dash uses, for example. It's real easy just to copy and paste the code and create your own coin. There's lots of those. You can do it with Bitcoin. You can do it with Raven coin.
Hmm.
So if it's just a copy and paste and doesn't seem to be anything innovative on top of it, innovative idea or at least novel idea, I'd run away from those. I would say I have traditionally also strayed more so away from ones that have anonymous teams, but at the same time, I've also made a lot of money with anonymous teams, so that one's hit or miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a few factors, I guess.
Very nice. Well, I appreciate that. I saw a question here from Joel asking, can a miner designed for Caspa or Bitcoin be used to mine a different crypto in the future?
If it is an actual Bitcoin mining machine, an ASIC, then it can mine other coins as long as they use the same algorithm as Bitcoin. So Bitcoin
Mm,
uses the SHA-256 algorithm um, to create new Bitcoins, and there are, I don't know, a handful of other coins that use that same algorithm that you can mine. But outside of that, if it uses a different algorithm, you cannot. Same with Caspa and K heavy hash. Has to be a K heavy hash coin in order to use a Caspa ASIC. Now, if you're talking about coins that are mineable with a GPU, then yeah, sure, you can mine just about anything with GPUs. GPUs are super versatile.
definitely, definitely. Appreciate the question there, Joel. Um, Want to lean in a little bit on in the podcast we did with the team, which was on the your podcast channel with the Wolf team. We got a little bit dystopian there towards the end. I forget what the question was that originally got us there at the end, but I remember like I think maybe I started or Charles started. I forget, one of us started. But I am curious on the way you view the future of the world. Are you preparing out of like, we're screwed, humanity's cooked right now and everything's looking bad, I'm just gonna take care of my stuff and just move on? Do you have a pretty fairly optimistic view of the future, or how do you generally view the world in today's conditions? And yeah, I'm just kind of curious.
I feel like the world is objectively better than it has ever been in history. I mean, people like to get all bent out of shape, but I think they're just watching the news too much. We live in a very prosperous time. People die at later ages, and infants die way less than they used to once upon a time. We have a better handle over disease and all these things. Certainly, I'm hedging against things like a big market crash. That's, I'm in Bitcoin. That's a way to do that. But I'm not expecting that to happen anytime soon. I think everybody wants the market to keep going up, and all the factors that have been being a crutch to keep the market up, printing money, etc., will continue to happen. So I think in order to be an investor, a successful investor, you have to be an optimist.
Mm.
You have to believe that there are better days ahead and things are going to go up and do well, at least in whatever place you were investing. But in terms of like world, like, you know, the world's going to fall apart and we need to build a compound and have like automated machine gun turrets on the walls or something. I hope that's not going to happen, but I don't expect that to happen anytime soon, even though people seem to think the riots are going to start any minute now.
Well, hopefully one Bitcoin will always be worth one Bitcoin, even if there's
It's true.
only a couple hundred of us left on Earth. I mean, it's some kind of dystopian world, and we're like, oh man, I still got my Bitcoin, baby. I still remember my passphrase.
That's
There's
right.
some power in that, though. Like thinking about that, just in general, like doesn't really matter what happens, but the model of Bitcoin is such that it will still be worth one Bitcoin. And it depends a little bit, I guess, on how the world views that in regards to the free market and what they price it in at. But that part is crazy, convincing for me, I guess, persuasive for me in the Bitcoin argument is that fact of there's this many, it's a better system, this works. There's no like third man, middleman that needs to be necessary at all. It makes so much sense to me. I found that years into my crypto journey, really when someone asked me which altcoin would I shill, and I told him probably none. I'd only feel comfortable shilling Bitcoin. As soon as I said that, like a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, "Oh wow, that is the argument right there. That is convincing and persuasive to the average person, because you can keep this money." And so, anyways, I'm curious on your thoughts on Bitcoin. Are you a Bitcoin maxi in this regard? I know you mine other things, but are you big time Bitcoin, or is the Bitcoin message important to you, or is it more you're just like, look, dude, people got it. It makes sense. It's going up in price. I'm all about it.
Bitcoin is 50% or maybe slightly more than 50% of my overall crypto portfolio. I do have a 7-figure crypto portfolio, so that should tell you I do have a bit of weight when it comes to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the only thing in the world of crypto that I believe will exist in multiple decades. That's not to say that I think everything else is a scam or that nothing else will exist. I think there's other uses on this planet for blockchain. I don't think that includes 50,000, 100,000, a million other coins, tokens, etc. But certainly some of them can find a market fit in the world, as long as they are not the settlement layer for all our financial markets or the world reserve asset, which I think is where Bitcoin belongs. Yeah, I mean, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin, but depends on, does somebody care about that? And
Yeah.
value is only derived from what two people agree between themselves, or what you hold yourself. If you think Bitcoin's the most valuable thing, and you're the only person on the planet, well, then you can hang on to it and it has value to you. But in order for it to have value more broadly, you need a second person to also agree with you to some degree. This is the single idea that floats our current US dollar. It's just two parties agree it has value. That value is dropping considerably, but that is what gives it value. There's nothing behind it other than that. It's an idea. All money to some degree is like that.
Yeah.
I don't believe in inherent value in currencies. I don't believe in inherent value in like stocks or things, which people like to talk about. Bitcoin is no different. And yeah, a lot of the altcoins I hold in my portfolio, they are, to a degree, again, I believe that there will be other uses for blockchain and other things that'll exist. But most of the things, at least a big portion of them, they are a means to an end. And that end is get more Bitcoin. So I have Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin goes up. Alts then follow. I sell as much of my alts as I can, as close to the top as I can. Some of that goes in my pocket, goes into savings account, goes into dead simple index funds. But a lot of it hangs on in stable coins until the bear market rolls around. And then I buy more Bitcoin. So I have more Bitcoin than I did the previous cycle.
I was going to ask as well, do you trust the stablecoin industry? What are your thoughts on it? For me, it feels just scary holding things in stablecoins. I know they're meant to be backed, and like that's the whole point of them, is you can trust them. I just feel a little bit of fear. Maybe it's just PTSD from some of the centralized exchanges getting wrecked in the last couple of years. But what are your general thoughts on holding through a bear market? If you've got I don't know, 50 grand of cash just sitting there, and you're like, okay, I can leave this in a savings account where it's, it's federally backed. The government will bail them out if everything goes wrong. I got this money, but it's making 4%. And then you've got this USDC, 6%, 9%, 12%, whatever it is. Where are you at with that level of trust? Are there any that you prefer to use over others because you found better success with them? Or do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, USDT every cycle gets a whole bunch of FUD and naysayers and stuff, and it's still here. It's stronger and better than ever.
Mm,
So in the past, I've kept most of my stables as USDT on Tron
mm,
TRC20.
okay.
If you look at the markets, the volume is insane. It's like everything is done in USDT on Tron. So my basis is that that seems to be where most people are. It's a proven system so far. I trust it as far as that. Do I trust it fully and completely? Absolutely not.
Mm,
Definitely do not. If you want a bit more of a safety net, but you want more of, I guess, the ability to see into your world, you can do USDC.
mm,
That one is regulated in the US. That one is backed one for one with dollars and everything. The downside is it's susceptible to censorship or blocking, or you just turn your account off. There's insight into your holdings. So whether you care about that or not, whether they actually act on any of that or not, that's up to you. But that's as far as I've gone out in the world of stables, beyond playing around, experimenting with ones like Terra, which, a non-backed stable coin has never ended well, and now I know the history of those, and so I've stayed away from those algorithmic stable coins. Never worked. I don't know if they ever will.
yeah, we'll definitely see it. No, I appreciate you letting me know. Just because in my head it makes sense to like only really ask people who are actively using some of these things, especially with something like stable coins who have actually held in the stable coins. Because a lot of things make sense principally. You're speaking, and especially in our world, it's like, oh, like we're gonna do this, then this is gonna happen right after, and you're like, oh, hold on, like is it gonna happen? Like we're like, well, probably. Like if it does, like we'll go over here. Half the time, it doesn't end up turning out that way. So I'm always curious for people who are actively using the network. A lot of people we talk to aren't really doing any of the things. They're kind of just spitballing whenever they hear, parroting something that somebody said. Some of these people are out here putting in that work on the daily. So, anyways, I'm curious on your earlier years, like high school. Did you ever think you'd be in this kind of world? Were there any semblance of an idea of joining these cults of like Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin and this online world? Did any of this come up in your head? Were you hardworking in this age demographic or this age time in your life, or where were you at back then?
So I mean, Bitcoin didn't come out till I was out of college. So these things were non-existent to me in high school. But elementary, junior high, college, I've always been doing entrepreneurial stuff. I've started a bunch of businesses. I was always
Hmm.
doing stuff on the side. Um, and then sometime in high school, I was convinced that I need to do the right thing, the normal thing, which is go to college and then get a degree, get a good job, do the normal life thing. I got convinced that I should do that, and I tried that. And then at some point, a few years into that experiment, I'm like, what am I doing? I've been an entrepreneur since I was in elementary school, doing my own
Mm.
thing. I haven't had to answer to anybody. Why am I now thinking I want to answer to somebody, have a boss, and have to go somewhere at a certain time and mandatory meetings and all this stuff? So dropped that like it was hot, did my own thing again after that. And so, yeah, in terms of like, I'm living a life on my own terms and doing my own thing and paving my own way. Yeah, I'm right where I thought I would be in those early years. Just what the actual, end result of that,
Sure.
crypto YouTuber, someone who thinks and lives and breathes crypto passive income every day. No, that wasn't even my realm of comprehension in those early days.
Yeah, I'm always curious with this one in particular because some people start off entrepreneurial very early. My biggest entrepreneurial venture was like garage sales. Like that's about as deep as I got. It
It's a
never
good
got any
one.
deeper. Never thought to resell anything. That didn't even occur to me until COVID, when I was like, wow, everyone's just flipping home gyms for like 1,000x. Like I should just get into this. And I remember so vividly because I bought a like a 500. It was like my first ever big flip. I paid like $500 for this little home gym, and I think I 3x my money. And that like almost turned on my entrepreneurial business side, but I don't know if it was in my blood the same way I see some entrepreneurs move. They move differently. It's just how they are. I definitely am this way in content and thinking about ways to post videos and things like that. But as far as just like business entrepreneurial specific, I was not doing much of that back in the day. So I'm always curious because there are a lot of people in our industry are super just into that. They were like, oh yeah, I was flipping silly bands in middle school. Like that's all I was doing. I was making like $200 a day. And I'm like, dude, what? Like I was just playing soccer, trying to survive, like trying to get a girl to look at me. Like that was the only things, top of mind back then. But no, that's awesome stuff.
I feel like it's one of those things where if you have that bent, if you have that entrepreneurial part in you, even if you haven't explored it, like there's just something about working the normal job or doing the normal life. Nothing wrong with that. There can be a lot of really great success coming out of that. But if you're someone who has that part in you, and you're doing the thing that that's the opposite of that, you feel some kind of discontent, some kind of something's wrong in your world. But if you've never felt that, if you just you're happy to do other things and do the more traditional route, even if it's an untraditional, do a regular 9-to-5 job, but even if it's a non-traditional one, like what you're doing at Wolf, Wolf Financial, which is definitely not like a 9-to-5 company job,
just 24/7, no big deal.
Yeah, right. Which is kind of like entrepreneur stuff. Then that's fine. Like you just need to be honest with yourself and where which way you're inclined to go. But I feel like if you're somebody who does have that like feeling deep inside, like when I went to the world of 9-to-5, I was working at a tech startup and stuff. Like every time someone told me I need to do this, or they disagree with how I wanted to do it, or I had to go to these meetings, or all this type of stuff, I had fun. I really enjoyed. I had my direct boss, great, like all this stuff. Had great friends, but like it just always there's something not right. Even though it was like a dream job, quote unquote, and it was a great time and fun. So if you have that part of you and you're just not honest with yourself, you're just like burying it deep inside you don't explore that even just on the side to see where it can go. I don't know. I'm just a huge proponent of like role playing in your head, imagining in your head like you are, 80 years old, you're dying on your deathbed. What are the things that are going to be the regrets that you can feel or see or whatever? And if that is like never trying to do your own thing or never taking this risk or that, do them and fail at them. And if they don't work out, check it off. You did it. Fun times, moving on with your life, but at least you tried it, right?
I agree with you. At Wolf, it's dope just because there's so much freedom in the role. It's basically just like do as much content as possible, do more spaces, talk to more people, like just build the name out there, which is what I've been doing forever on my own channel. And for me, like as long as I have something on the side, I'm happy. I have to scratch the itch of something entrepreneurial. So there's plenty to do with Wolf. Like I have the creative endeavors are totally cool to do with Wolf, but I also do video content with Near Foundation and Near Protocol. And it just kind of fulfills that like, okay, I'm tired of this. I need to give this a break for a couple hours. But I still like, I don't know, for me, I'm kind of always down to just figure out stuff and have some kind of side project going 24/7. So I feel like the Web3 world just makes a lot of sense for people like us who just are just doing things constantly and are just curious in general about things. So anyways, I had a few questions. Oh man, there was a question I just had on the tip of my tongue. Oh man, I hope I remember the next few minutes. It was a great question. But curious on your day-to-day currently, what it looks like when you wake up. Are you waking up early? Walk me through if there's any kind of semblance of a normal day for your friend Danny, what does it look like?
A normal day. I'm not an early riser. I would say I pretty regularly wake up somewhere between 8 and 9:30 a.m.
It's early for me, bro. You're a morning person. In my book.
Well, I think actual morning people will be like, that's not early.
Yeah.
So, I stay up late. I don't know. There's, if I don't have anything first thing I have actually let's get scheduled for myself, then I just, get up whenever. But then it takes me a few hours to start the day. So usually it starts with either reading or writing. I read a lot of books.
Mm.
and I write a lot of scripts. So those are usually
Yeah.
some of the things that happen first thing. And then, I do every night before I go to bed, I do try to write out my to-do list ahead of time, so I know what my kind of top 3 to 5 things are that I need to knock off the list, and then 20 more things get added to the list. So I try to make my way through as much of it as
Right.
I possibly can in a given day. And then I go at the end of the day, I say, "Oh man, wish I had some more help. I should really get on getting some more contract help or some more, whatever." And then I move that to the next day, and it all just gets
Of
pushed
course.
forever and ever. The snowball. Um, but there's not really a whole lot of regularity. Like, some days I'll go see a movie in the middle of the day with a friend, or I don't know. Just I like having a free flow, take it easy, laissez-faire kind of a life. Maybe some more structure would be helpful. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, for me, I think I wiggle between. I like the structure for a while, then I start to feel a little bit like I gotta get out, and then I go change things up. But I'll say this: the entrepreneur life allows for a little bit of wiggle room, which is nice, and you're able to pivot if you need to. If you need to keep it a side gig or move from full time to side gig, you can do that for a little bit, then come back. Like there's so many ways to go around it. So I'm curious if there's anything that we've got a few minutes left. Things that keep you sane throughout all this. Is there anything else you do? I know you mentioned reading. Some people, it's the gym for them, or meditation, or spending time with the family, things like that just let them unplug from the world. Do you do a bunch of unplugging, or are you pretty much locked in 24/7?
I do work kind of around the clock, but I take lots of breaks in between. I
Mm.
should get better about segmenting my work so it ends at a certain time. But yeah, I unplug. I've watched a lot of movies this year. I've read a
Yeah.
lot of books this year. I think I've read almost 60 books this year so far.
Whoa. Okay, you're
I'm
reading. You're
almost
reading.
I'm
Reading.
almost at 100 movies for the year. And I play video games a couple times a week with some
Okay.
friends. Me and my wife, we travel.
Mm.
We've got animals, and all the go out to eat places, see friends,
Mm.
all the normal unplugging things, I guess.
Love it. Love it. We'll do a couple of rapid fire Q&As that I'm curious on some of those. What are some great movies that you've seen this year that come to mind? Do any come to mind? Were they all mediocre, or how was 2024 as a movie year?
Movies in 2024. I mean, one of the highlights was certainly Dune Part Two.
That was a good movie.
Um, what is on my list for 2024? I mean,
Gotta
I've
make a
watched
Your
like
Friend Andy's music or movies YouTube channel now.
I am on.
Movie reviews.
Well, that's what my previous YouTube channel used to be. Was all about movies. I do keep
Go.
my updated movie diary on Letterboxd.
Nice. All right.
What? Maybe that is one of the better ones I've watched this year. I'm looking back for ones actually released this year that I really liked. That's probably one of the top ones that actually was released this year that I really enjoyed. Um, Other ones that were really surprising but was not released this year was I finally got around to watching RRR,
Mm.
um, which is a Bollywood movie that was on Netflix. It's like 3.5 hours long. It is an epic. It's amazing.
It was
So I
okay. Wow.
highly recommend that. I watched for the second time this year. I watched Prey, which is the latest Predator movie.
Mm.
I think it might be better than the first one. It's incredible. Um, yeah, there's a
All
couple
right.
highlights.
Any books that you find yourself rereading throughout the years, or a new book this year that kind of, I don't know, impressed you or you really liked?
So books, I'm not. Don't let me come across as a super intellectual here. 90% of what I read is science fiction, and yes,
Mm.
I have lots of things to say about science fiction books. I've reread one of my favorite book series is called the Bobbyverse books. The very first
Okay.
book is We Are Legion, We Are Bob. It's a mix of pop culture and hard science fiction.
All
It's
right.
incredible. It's about taking a human brain, and putting them into a space probe, a self-replicating space probe, and sending them off into the cosmos, see what happens.
That's
Really,
awesome.
really great. Um, Other books I reread. I think I reread the entire Murderbot series semi recently. Love the Murderbot books. If you're a science fiction person, you have to read the Murderbot books. I did finally read Artemis, which is an Andy
Mm.
Weir book. He did The Martian and Project Hail
Probably
Mary.
fun.
If you haven't read Project Hail Mary or The Martian, you are missing out. They are both exquisite pieces of science fiction. There you go. There's a few.
Very nice. Very nice. Awesome stuff, bro. Okay, got a couple last questions here. Have you been to any mining facilities? Did anything strike? Well, I assume the answer is yes, but you've seen a mining facility. What are some things that you noticed that are pretty cool? Just some things that you thought might be interesting to point out for people who have not been to a mining facility, a Bitcoin mining facility. What does it look like? How big is it? I'm sure they range a little bit, but we'd love for you to speak on them a little bit.
I haven't done that in a couple of years, but yeah, I've been to several facilities. The most interesting ones are the off grid ones,
Mm.
ones that use natural gas coming out of the ground. So if you have an oil site that is either abandoned or still an active site, whenever you go down to get the oil, there's also inevitably going to be natural gas that comes up. Normally they pipe that up, they put it through a big stack, and they burn it. They flare it at the top, and they
Mm.
just burn it off, because most of these sites are so remote that it doesn't make any economic sense to bring in trucks to fill up with the natural gas and to ship it off and sell it. It just doesn't make any sense to do that, so they just burn it.
Mm.
Unfortunately, like 60 to 80% of the methane coming out of the ground doesn't burn off. It just vents, even though it's on fire. It's not a very efficient way to get rid of it. So Bitcoin mining companies come in, they cap it, they pipe that natural gas, mostly methane, into a giant generator. Generator makes a bunch of power. They put a container next to it, and they power Bitcoin miners. And depending on what your agreement is, if you own the land or if you are renting it, it's nearly free or free power. If you can work all the ins and outs of that, and because you're running all that methane through a generator, you're burning like 95% of it up and turning it to CO2. Methane is like 40 times as bad for as a greenhouse gas than CO2. So you're saving the planet while you mine Bitcoin. It's beautiful.
Let's go. I love it, dude. That's awesome stuff. No, that's awesome stuff. And like I said, really appreciate you coming on, dude. This was very enlightening conversation, especially for people who are just have a beginner's understanding really of the Bitcoin mining world. It's been awesome to learn from people like you. And so big shout out to you. And definitely anyone who's interested, give him a follow, especially if you're on X. You can literally just click his @ and follow him right there, right on there on X. And then with YouTube, go to the description and you can find his YouTube and his X account. So, Andy, I'll turn it over to you for any final, I don't know, call to actions, anything you have coming up that you're excited about, or any side projects you have, or shout outs to anybody that you want to shout out. I'll kind of leave it to you to close us out.
Thank you for watching if you watched. Thank you for watching if you're watching the recording. And shout out to some of the people in the chat who showed up. I know there's a bunch of people from Sleep Money Club. If anybody is interested in chatting with me or seeing what I'm into before I share it on YouTube, or see what I'm buying and selling, or any of the behind the scenes stuff to get in on OTC deals or other special like early sales and stuff like that, Sleep Money Club. It's my private membership, my private community in Discord. I'm in there all the time. That's a great place to find me. Or if you don't want to do something where it's a paid membership, just come check out my YouTube channel. I'll be happy to see you there.
Let's get it. Let's get it. And how can people find that club, the paid membership club? Is that in your link somewhere, like on your X bio or something like that?
Yep. Click my link in my bio, or you just go to the Twitter handle ZZZ Money Club. You'll find it, or it's in the description of every single one of my YouTube videos, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you go to his YouTube, go to his X, you'll find what you need. So anyways, guys, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Repost the stream if you enjoyed it. Give him a follow. We have spaces every single day here, and now video streams a lot of days. We'll flip through. So hopefully we'll see you guys every single day. You better be clocking in. So all right, guys, have an amazing day, and we are